Welcome to the Solo Grind, where we shine a light on the raw and real journey of being a solo entrepreneur. I am Teresa, your guide on this adventure of going it alone, without a safety net and without the rule book. The grind is real, my friend, and so are the wins, the freedom, and the joy of building success on your own terms. I'm here to debunk the myths, share some laughs, and share what it takes to thrive as a go-getter, busy, doing it all entrepreneur. Hello and welcome to the Solo Grind. I am particularly excited to be with all of you here today because honestly, I wasn't sure I was going to be able to get this episode recorded and out to you. But thankfully, the stars aligned and here I am. And I am just excited to be here because all month long, we have been talking about love. Love not in that romantic sense, but in the sense of how we show up for ourselves, for our businesses, and how we use that to create the life that we love, that we were dreaming of, the life that we only thought could be possible in our best possible dreams. And that's what we've been focusing on. So in the first episode this month, we were joined by the lovely Leslie Myrick, who came to talk to us about creating healthy boundaries and developing time management skills that were all in alignment with your own personality. So we've all seen those time management hacks out there, time blocking and whatever. There's a million of them. They're not coming to me right now. My brain's still a little foggy from my weekend, but we've all seen those and we know some of them work and some of them we think are garbage. But what we didn't know until Leslie joined us was that a lot of times those tips, they're all fabulous and great, but not for everybody. They are based on your personality and how you view the world and how you show up in the world. So that was week number 1. Week number 2, we tackled the very real struggles of creating a business and building a life on your own terms, and how those struggles can lead us to falling out of love with what we are creating and what we are building. And we also talked about how to flip the script and fall back in love with the business and the life that we are creating so that we're always focused on that joy aspect and not just the struggle, the hustle, the grind that so many people put emphasis on. Then also last week, we had a special episode where Crystal Loveless Nurple joined us on Valentine's Day. My bestie. It's crazy, but I love that we've been besties for 40 plus years. And she joined me for a very special birthday episode where we talked about mindset shifts that are necessary in order to create the life, the home, the light, all the things that we love. Okay. And all of this has been leading to one really big truth. And that is living a life that we love isn't just about dream jobs, bubble baths, and champagne, or whatever you think is part of your dream life. It is about choosing to love yourself, your home, your business, more than the excuses that try to get in your way. Okay. And those excuses are very real and they show up often. Excuse me. Which, interestingly enough, as I cough here a little bit and have to take a sip of water, leads me to my recent moment of excuses where I could have easily fallen into excuses and not shown up for you here today. And that is, I just had a very, very intense week full of lots of things. So backtracking a little bit, last week I started off the week in Texas. Monday morning, I was with my mom and my pops, and I took my pops out for a birthday breakfast before I hopped in the car and drove a few hours to visit my son Thatcher and hang out with him for a little while before hopping in the car again to start the first serious leg of a 17-hour drive from Texas back to South Dakota. On Tuesday, I was pretty much on the road all day long, which left me with only 3 work days last week to get caught up and to make the most of my week, including recording this episode as was what was planned. Wednesday, I was incredibly productive. I was energized and I was on fire. I put in a really long day, but I accomplished a lot. And I went to bed feeling pretty good about myself, pretty smug about how much I was able to do, pretty happy that I'm able to balance this whole travel, work, whatever thing. Um, and I went to bed feeling pretty good. And then Thursday morning hit. I woke up with a pounding headache, body aches all over, and 102 fever. Influenza A had officially entered the scene. And that's when all the well meaning advice came. So, in case you don't remember, last Friday was also my birthday. So, I had a lot of amazing people in my life reach out to me. I'm very blessed to have so many people who took the time to connect with me and wanted to know what I was doing to celebrate my birthday, and which I got to tell them I was celebrating with influenza A as I napped on the sofa, letting my body heal. And that's when all of this well meaning advice and built in excuses started coming my way. You need your rest. You've been pushing yourself pretty hard. This kind of illness lasts for weeks. Just take it easy. You don't want to relapse, so you better take the week off. None of this was bad advice. And everyone had my best interests at heart. But I love what I'm doing more than my excuses. Excuse me. I love what I am building here more than my excuses. I love this podcast. I love the message that I'm sharing. I love connecting with each and every one of you. This and all the other things that I'm going to do today are all part of the life that I am creating. And I love it too much to let those excuses get in the way. Now, I'm not talking about pushing through and burning myself out. I've been there. I've done that. And I've learned the hard way that that is not the life for me. That does not work. Instead, I'm talking about finding that middle ground between listening to my body and staying committed to what I love and to what I have promised myself to put out there. Okay. So over the weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I rested. I took care of myself, trusted my body to recover. And because I did, today I am here, not 100%, but I am here able to record this episode for you and get it out there for tomorrow morning, exactly as I promised myself. And I feel that I promised to each and every one of you, even though I don't know that it was ever formally verbalized. So, how do you love your dreams more than your excuses? It would have been easy for me to say, you know what? I had a bonus episode last week. I'm okay if I skip a week. I'm okay if I don't show up. I got a lot accomplished last week. I can just show up for a few things and take the week off. It would be so easy to do all of that. But I have a dream of what I'm creating. I have a dream life in my mind, a vision in my mind of what I want. And part of that is showing up with excellence as much as the best possible way, which means I'm going to do what I can to push through while also taking care of myself. All right, so let me pull up my notes before my brain spins out of control again. How do we choose our dreams over these excuses? How do we find that middle ground of taking care of ourselves and showing up? That's what I want to talk about here today. And I'm going to break it down into 3 of the biggest excuses that stop us from creating the life that we love. Those are time, money, and fear. Okay? And each and every one of these has some sneaky ways of showing up in our lives. All right? So we're going to talk about that. We're going to look at those sneaky little ways that they show up. And I'm going to share my own strategies for flipping the script and pushing forward, even when you have a perfect excuse to crawl up in bed and hide from the world. So, number 1, I don't have enough time. I want to start with this one because for me, it was the easiest of the excuses to move past. Flat out, honestly, what I believe is that time is what we make it. You can either spend your days frantically busy only to come to the end accomplishing little to nothing, or you become a master of your time and use it wisely. The biggest shift for me in this area of my life in time management came from a quote that I heard years and years ago from during a Stephen Covey training. Okay. If you're not familiar with Stephen Covey, it was the habits of successful people. Highly Successful People is his book. I'm not quoting it exactly. But he was like the king of time management. Okay. And what the quote is, and I'm paraphrasing here, that really shifted things for me was in the training, he said, when you say that you don't have time, what you're really saying is that you value something else more. And like I said, I'm paraphrasing, and it's not a quote that's officially associated with him, but I will never forget him saying those words because it was a life-changing moment for me. The second that I heard that, something shifted in my mind. I began in that moment to realize how many times in a day I would make that statement, I just don't have time. And each time that I would say that, I would be frustrated because I believed it and I wanted more time. I had more things that I wanted to accomplish, more things that I wanted to do. And I just didn't know how I was going to find the time to do that. So, with this quote fresh in my mind, I started paying attention to every time that I would say, I don't have the time. And I would ask myself, okay, do I value something else more? So, for example, do I really value scrolling social media over finishing my blog post? Or do I value playing Toon Blast over meal prepping for tomorrow? Maybe I value binge watching NCIS instead of that marketing plan that I promised to get done. These are obviously today's excuses because I don't even think social media was a thing when I heard this quote, but it was a really mind shifting moment for me because I started questioning, do I really value something else more? Geez, I had to pause the video for just a moment to take care of a little bit of a coughing fit. So back to what I was saying here. Sometimes, yes, I do value something else more. I value zoning out for a few minutes and giving myself a break, or for an afternoon, or for a weekend to take care of myself. Sometimes the answer is no. I don't value that other thing more, and I'm going to focus on working on what truly matters. Sometimes it's a combination. Okay. So I zone out for 10 minutes, then I do some stretching, and I dive into whatever I'm procrastinating at the moment. Mastering your time is not about rigid schedules. It's not about strict time blocking or any of the other things that we've heard out there. It's about finding what works for you and being flexible while making very intentional choices. Okay. So now, if this struggle is very real to you, I highly recommend that you either revisit our episode with Leslie Myrick talking about boundaries, balances, and breaks, and obviously dive into that training. A link is in the show notes below where you can design your time, figuring out how to do time management based on your personality type. Now, this training comes to you through Leslie and her head business coach, Nancy, who she works with, Nancy Ganzacopper Quinn. Then it is geared towards interior designers, but I guarantee no matter what profession you're in, if time management is a struggle, this is a training you're going to want to sign up for. And Nancy's business advice is very applicable to anybody out there. Okay. So let's dive into number 2. Quick sip before we dive in. Okay. Reason number 2 that we fall into excuses and is I don't have enough money. All right. Now I get it. Money is a big one. You need money to start a business, to have a home, to create the life that you want. But we often make money a much bigger obstacle than it is. And there's a whole bunch that we could talk about when it comes to the aspect of money mindset. And that's another episode, in all honesty. that we will look at some point in the future. But for now, I just want to say here, money is not the obstacle we make it to be. Okay. And in fact, sometimes we have everything we need to make things work. We are just creating more complications than are necessary. And let me give you an example. When I first started my business, there was a lot of reasons why I should wait, okay? Why it wasn't a good time or why I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing. I would hear things such as, you need an office. How can you afford one if you don't have money coming in? Marketing is expensive. How are you going to get clients if you can't market yourself? You're going to need hardware and software and all of this tech to make it happen. How are you going to pay for all of that? Okay. It would have been so easy for me to say, oh, you're right. Okay, maybe I should wait. Maybe I should save. Maybe I should um, extend my credit cards. Maybe I should. I mean, like, there's a lot of excuses I could have done. Okay. Instead of buying into those excuses and making bad financial decisions or giving up on my dreams, I took a step back and I asked myself, how can I make this happen with what I already have? Okay. I looked at my resources and asked how I could make the most of what I had. How could I squeeze every last drop out of what I had available to me? And I prioritized what I really needed versus what I thought I needed, what somebody else thought I needed, or what I just wanted. So a good example here would be design software over accounting software. Okay. I looked at what I had and discovered how I could make it work. So, for example, I didn't have an office. I had a dining room table and a living room sofa. That's what I built my business on. I had coffee shops. I didn't have an office. I didn't have any expensive equipment. I built this business actually on a 13-inch MacBook, working out of my dining room table, coffee shops, the living room sofa, wherever I could find a spot with internet service. Okay. And I didn't lean into the idea of can't or shouldn't or anything like that. Instead, I believed I would. I prioritized what I actually needed and found a way to make it work. And honestly, for years, I ran my business on less than $100 a month on average. Sure, there were some months that it would be a little bit more, but for the most part, it was under $100 a month. Okay. To this day, I still will prioritize design software over accounting software. I still will make choices that at looking at things like this and focus on what I need, what are my priorities versus what I think I should have or somebody tells me I should get or whatever the case is. Again, goes back to focusing on what truly matters and setting those priorities, focusing on what you truly need versus what you want or what other people think you should have. Okay. So don't let that excuse get in your way. There's a lot that you can accomplish, and there's a lot of ways you can accomplish it without giving up on your dreams or making poor financial decisions, which seems to be the two extremes out there in the business world. Okay. One more step to get through this last little leg. And now to fear. Fear is the sneakiest excuses of all because it shows up and disguises itself as logic so that we don't even recognize it for what it is. And it shows up pretty much everywhere. So let's look at a few places or a few ways that fear hides. First excuse that I hear is, I'm not ready yet. If you are waiting for the perfect moment, I want you to right now acknowledge that the perfect moment does not exist. The only way to do something, to accomplish something, to see if something is going to work is to actually take action. If you are just thinking about it, you're only dreaming and it's never going to happen. Okay. Number two, sneaky way that fear shows up is, I don't know how. Okay. Now, there are a lot of aspects about my business that I didn't know how to do when I started. And I'm not talking about your industry specific things. Being a web designer, I learned that, and that's what I built my business on. But running a business is very different. How do you manage your books? How do you manage social media? How do you manage marketing? How do you manage all the things? Okay. A lot of the administrative tasks, especially behind the scenes things about doing a business, can be very intimidating because you don't know how to do it. The thing that I want you to remember is the answers are out there. So for me, if there was something I didn't know how to do, I found a tutorial, a video, a course, a person with knowledge, and I learned. I didn't always do it well, okay? And first, especially at first, I didn't always do things really well at first, but I learned. I did it, I learned, figured out what I got wrong, then I did it better. And then I continued doing, learning, improving, and doing it again in all areas of my business. And I've come a long way. My friends, the knowledge is out there. You just have to be willing to seek it out. Okay? Next excuse that shows or that is a little bit more clear and that it's a fear-based excuse, but is what if I fail? What if I fail? Okay, we're good. We're going to finish this, I promise. Failure, my friends, is not all bad, and it isn't the unsurmountable obstacle to success that a lot of people believe it to be. I personally don't believe it, so I'm not going to put me in that. Failure is a stepping stone. Most successful people in the world are some of the people who have failed a lot. They've failed more than most people, and that's because they were willing to try. Don't lean into the shame of failure that a lot of people latch onto, okay? Instead, I say try the oh well side trick. Oh well. Oh well, that didn't work out the way I thought it would. Okay. Any kind of oh well statement like that is going to work really fast to diffusing the situation. Those few little words, oh well, have the power to quickly reduce the pressure that you're feeling, diminish the stress, and help put things in a more clear perspective. So when something doesn't work the way you think it did, don't beat yourself up that you failed. Be like, oh well, now I know, and move on. Okay? The next excuse that is a fear-based excuse that is showing up a little bit sneaky is I am too old to do that, or I'm too young. Now, as my grandpa would say, age is just a number and it is all about how you feel inside. If you are struggling with the idea that you are too old to do something, just get out there and Google people who found success after 50. You're going to see a pretty long list. There is a lot of people that nobody knew existed that are known names at this point. And if you're struggling with the idea that you're too young to start something, let me introduce you to my daughter, Tiana. Tiana is just shy of her 25th birthday and has accomplished a lot. And while, yes, I am a very proud mama and there is definitely some bias going on here, there is no arguing with the facts that my daughter has a thriving business all on her own and has a reputation of excellence in her industry. In our area, she is a cosmetologist, and if you are looking for a curly hair specialist, her name is one of the first to pop up all over the place because she works hard for her success. And again, she's just shy of her 25th birthday. Okay, that brings us to the last little excuse of fear that is hidden in logic. What if people don't like what I have to offer? Well, simply put, they're not your people. You aren't here to serve everyone. You are here to make your corner of the world a better place and to serve the people who are looking for what you have to offer. It's not up to you to take care of everybody, and not everybody's going to want it. And that's okay. Somebody else has what they need, and those people deserve success as well. The bottom line, my friends, is that we all have reasons not to do things. Some of these really reasons feel very, very valid and very real. But when it comes down to it, it is up to you to decide. Which do you love more, the excuses or your dreams? Thank you guys so much for joining me for this episode, for tuning in and dealing with my coughing and my rough voice. I'm so grateful that each one of you are here, and I look forward to connecting with you next week when hopefully my voice is stronger and my head isn't hurting as much. Have a great week. Thanks for tuning in to the Solo Grind. I hope this episode brought you some inspiration and encouragement. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast, and feel free to share. For more tips and insights, visit caffeinecreative.io to check out my blog or explore the Creative Vault, my free course library. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram. I'd love to hear how this episode has helped you.